Hey, what's up everybody? It's Tech, and today we're talking about the best $300 gaming PC of November of 2019 for those of you on a budget. Now, Christmas is coming up, and some of you guys can't really afford a super expensive gaming PC, and hey, I feel ya. I was stuck in that position for quite a while, but eventually I was able to upgrade my computer based off of that entry level I built, which is exactly what this is. But the thing is, you'll be able to game with this PC in the first place. You'll actually be able to play games at a competitive 60 frames per second with this build. I know it's hard to believe, $300 gaming at 60 frames per second at 1080p seems like a miracle, but let me tell you, this PC can do it, and I'll be explaining it. But first, I'd really appreciate it if you dropped a like. We have a like goal of, I'd say, 20 likes, and also subscribing really helps me put out new videos every week or maybe twice a week. But anyway, let's get straight into it, starting with our CPU. Now, we're using AMD's Ryzen 5 3400G quad-core processor. This CPU alone is able to run games at 1080p at low settings, hitting above 60 frames per second on average. That's right, it's so hard to believe. I did some research, watched a couple of videos, and this CPU can do it. This CPU can truly run games at that amazing frame rate for only $132. Now, you can get this from Amazon, but I'm sure it's available from other places like Newegg. Might want to wait till Black Friday. You might get a really good deal on this. Next up, we have the motherboard. We're using ASRock's A320M HDV R4.0 Micro ATX AM4 motherboard for $57. Now, the problem with this motherboard, it might not be BIOS compatible with your CPU, but that's completely fine because AMD offers a boot drive kit, which they loan out a CPU to you that you can put in the motherboard, boot it, and updates the BIOS. You take it out and then you put in your new CPU to allow for the 3rd generation Ryzen processor to work in your build. So check the link in the description. Highly recommend you go and click that link and try to get a boot kit to build this PC. Next up, we have the RAM. We're using G.Skill's Value 8GB, which is 2 sticks of 4GB DDR4 2400 MHz memory for $30. Super cheap RAM, it's 2400 MHz, so it'll be able to game for you. It's not the best looking RAM, however, it does have black PCB, which is good looking, but the case I chose for this build isn't see-through, so it won't matter too much. But either way, this is good RAM, perfect for gaming. 8GB of RAM is gonna do it for you. You might wanna upgrade it down the road, but for now, 8GB is perfectly fine, especially for a budget build. Next up, we have the storage. For the storage, we're using Western Digital's Caviar Blue 500GB 7200 RPM internal hard drive for $23.50 from Amazon. Now, nothing much to say about this hard drive except it'll be your main storage component. 500GB is definitely enough to hold a couple good games, but there's also a problem that comes with hard drives, and that's Windows. Windows is very slow on hard drives. I remember way back when I made the conversion from having my Windows on a hard drive to a solid state drive, and it's night and day, and it'll only cost you an extra $18. So this SSD is optional. It's Inland's Professional 120GB solid state drive, $18. It's from Amazon, and I highly recommend you get it. You'll have extra storage because it's 120GB, and Windows doesn't really take up that much storage. I think it's 20 to 30GB. Maybe a little bit more than that, but either way, I highly recommend you go for an SSD in this build. Your Windows is going to be way faster than it would be if it was on the hard drive. So I highly recommend you go for this optional SSD. But if you don't, it's fine. Your build will still run. You'll still have a pretty good gaming PC anyway. It's just Windows will be kind of slow. Next up, the case. We're using DIY PC's MA01 Micro ATX Mini Tower case for $27 from Newegg. Now, you do have to pay shipping, unfortunately, but it's a case, it's a big box, nothing much you can do about that. But since this is a really cheap budget gaming PC, I couldn't really find a good looking case with a window on it. I mean, I'm not saying this is a bad case or anything, but it doesn't have a window. Honestly, I think all gaming PCs should have a window. Since this build is so budget, I could not fit one in. But if you want to put a couple extra dollars towards a see-through case, all you need to look for on the label is ATX. This is an ATX build, so the case has to be ATX. 99% of cases are ATX, so it won't be difficult to find one. Finally, we have the power supply. We're using Rosewill's 650 watt 80 plus bronze certified ATX power supply for 35 bucks. Now it does have a $5 promo, $5 off. I'm not sure if that's a rebate or it's just a promo, but either way, this is a very good power supply coming from a trustworthy company. 650 watts of 80 plus bronze certified will allow plenty of room for upgrading. So yeah, those are all the parts that are in this build. I do highly recommend you upgrade the RAM and the graphics card in the future. Definitely want to get a graphics card. I'd say a 570, 580 if you're in the budget range. And also you're probably going to want to get 2 more sticks of 4GB RAM. Make sure it's 2400 megahertz. You don't want to do different speeds of RAM in the build. It's better if you get the same brand RAM as well. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video, guys. If you like the video, drop a like. If you like the content you see and want to see more of it, drop a sub. Definitely helps the channel out. And if you have any questions, please drop a comment. I try to reply as fast as I possibly can. I understand that the building process and planning process of building a PC is pretty confusing sometimes, especially if you're a beginner. So I completely understand. I love to answer you guys' question. So yeah, thanks for watching. Peace out.